Hey guys and gals, how's everyone today? Hopefully well. Well, NASA rocket explodes. Everything remote viewers warned about in 2014 is coming to pass. This is definitely given remote viewers, especially Ed Dame's group, a feather in his cap, and he's got a pretty good average right now. They don't get everything right, but they've got quite a bit of things that they've hit on and got right. So much that the government listens to them very well. It is paying attention to the things he says. Everything has been coming to pass. Not everything, but a lot of things. Fukushima power plant meltdown. The sun unleashes massive solar flare. That was a shot across the bow that he talks about. Major revolutions, people rioting, upset, definitely has come to pass. Major problems. We had a solar flare the other day. There was some huge sunspots facing right at us, and if it would have unleashed a solar flare, that would have been the kill shot. But the NASA explosion is one step closer to the kill shot in the series of events that they have foreseen, that they say that's coming down the pipe. And so far, several things have happened, some haven't. Ed Dames right now, retired Major Ed Dames, is going around the country, him and his group, and training people to remote view themselves and giving them special maps, safety zones, and stuff like that. You can pay a good chunk of money and get in to see it. And a lot of places are being sold out too. Interesting information, if you ask me. Should we pay attention to it? I think so. This is a picture that one guy drew. This is kind of like how one of their pictures looks. He gets it pretty close. Pretty close. This is Kilimanjaro. That's not close as, the Sydney Opera House, but, I don't know. That's what he sees. Now, this is interesting to me. This is what they're really concerned about. The bright thing in the sky, everybody looking up, people running. People looking up in amazement, followed by mass organized migrations from the coastal regions. So they see a major coastal event happening. Now this one here, you can read what he says. These people are scavenging through a bunch of stuff. Myself personally, I've had dreams since I was a little boy about scavenging through buildings, houses, and things like that for food, medications, clothing, stuff to get by on, stuff to live on, with a group of people who we always work as a team, and most of the time we have been pursued by somebody, like a government out of control or invading army or something, trying to get everybody. We're always armed, but always scavenging, looking for things. I've had these dreams since I was a kid. But and I had never heard of any of this kind of stuff. So this is interesting to me. Impact from what appears to be large meteors landing, leading to tsunamis and possible volcanism. extensive and forceful flooding of coastal areas. Well, that hasn't happened yet. And mid-2013, that hasn't happened yet. When they get it wrong, they say it's because of an alternate universe, alternate timeline. You know? And when you put so many out there, you're going to get some right. Personally, I think the Bible has been the most accurate of all. You also have Edgar Casey, Nostradamus. I think some of his stuff is a bit, you know, off and translated and understood different to different people. But Edgar Casey is definitely a unique individual, and a lot of the things that he's said has been right on the money. He's definitely gifted. But yeah, some interesting information. The US dollar crashing, you know, all kinds of bad stuff happening. Bad stuff happening. And this is another drawing from a remote viewer of a tsunami. Water moves inland. See, there's the multiple universe theory. Correct or remote viewing phenomenon works as if it is correct. See, they've got an excuse when they get it wrong. So, you know, but I'll tell you what, the United States government listens to this guy, and they've listened to him for a long time. The movie Men Who Stare at Goats was a spoof on Maj.Ed Dames and his group. Of course, it's not the real deal, but it's, you know, a spoof on that. Here's a bunch of posts, people talking about the stuff, you know, and different things. A lot of people have a lot of different opinions about this. You got the web bot. There's another guy on the West Coast who deals with more earthquake type stuff. I believe his name is Cliff. Let's see, it's on here somewhere. Cliff I. That's it. But he's a remote viewer, and he's been seeing a huge West Coast event that's going to happen, and he's been trying to warn people about that there. Here's a drawing. Pretty bizarre. Another one. Very, very bizarre drawings on the remote viewing things. Looks like aliens to me. Personally, I have some different opinions about that. I don't believe they're extraterrestrials. I think that they're created by, you know, the New World Order, Illuminati, those in power, so to speak. Same guys that create the super soldiers and do all this sick stuff. Cliff High, the Wuju. Yeah, that's him. He does some stuff too. Not quite as accurate as Ed Dames and his group, but he's hit on a few things too. Him and his group. But there's definitely something behind the whole thing here. Now, working in tandem with WebBot, some people say that there's more accuracy to be had. Personally, I don't see it. I don't think the WebBot has hit as accurately as these guys. Not near as accurately. There's some interesting things. Anomaly photographed by Phobos 2 spacecraft. Remote viewing. They remote viewed that anomaly. And also there's science to back it up. Here's the Phobos. It's one of the moons orbiting Mars. They evidently took a shot of what appears to be a cigar-shaped UFO moving across the surface of it. I've done a video on that. The United States government admitting that that's ours. The United States has it, and it is a bad mamma jamma. But there's the Phobos 2 spacecraft. There's the remote viewer's drawing of it, pretty accurate. Now Buzz Aldrin on C-SPAN said there's a monolith on Phobos, Mars' moon. And he said, who put it there? The universe put it there. But there's a monolith there. He says, we need to go check these kind of things out. You know? He's absolutely right. There's a picture of it. And look at the shadow it casts. Absolutely bizarre. Absolutely awesome. Now, after Phobos 2 got these pictures, especially the one not of the monolith, but of the spacecraft, it disappeared and wasn't heard of no more. Now I want you to guys look at this. This is FedBizOps. This is a solicitation. Quote, to provide a news gathering and press release dissemination software service to the Department of Homeland Security, Science and Technology Directorates. Can anybody say prepackaged news? Fabricated news? There you go, right there. They're soliciting for it. A program that helps with that. There's some more Phobos 2 images. 1989. There's the cigar-shaped UFO moving across the surface. At least the shadow of it. They don't know whether it's the shadow of it or the thing itself. But this was seen by remote viewers. Ed Dames and his group. And the Russians admit it, that they got pictures of it. They can't explain it. Photo of UFO near Mars. And they, come right out and say it. Here's some other images from the Phobos spacecraft. Here's a guy doing some remote viewing. Interesting how they do it. You'll have to go watch one of them videos. I'll put the links below. They've predicted Ebola, all these other diseases that we're dealing with right now. North Korea nuke threat. Anarchy in the streets. You know, the stuff going on over in Russia. In Ukraine. The whole thing there. Ed Dames has got a pretty good batting average. And he's making money doing it. I mean, I wish he'd release the information to all of us. I think it's really unfair. These people have to sign a non-disclosure agreement when they go to this thing. But they pay a good chunk of money to get the information and to know where the safe zones are and stuff like that. As far as Ed Danes has seen them. Him and his group have remote viewed them. And he goes around the country and tries to help people learn how to remote view and stuff like that. Very interesting. One thing they're very worried about is the power going off. Earth going dark. Back to the Stone Age. Back to the pre-electric era. Um, a kill shot would do this, and so would an EMP strike do this. But a kill shot would cause totally major problems on Earth, as in weather problems, tsunamis, stuff like that. It would cause some major problems. And that's what they're seeing a lot of. They think it's because there's going to be a meteor that's going to come strike in the ocean and cause huge tsunamis. That's supposed to be one of the next things that happens. And the NASA explosion is right in line with the things they've been talking about. Whatever city gets the brunt of the kill shot is just going to be burned up, incinerated instantly. You know, I don't even know if them people will see anything but a flash of light and it'll be done. Major storms will happen. Now this is the remote viewing of the depiction of the nuclear attack on one of the major cities in the United States, seen by remote viewers in Ed Dame's group. And like I say, the military listens to him. They have listened to him. They provided funding for him. He worked in Black Ops. He had a unit for several years. Training guys to do this. The movie Men Who Stare at Ghosts is kind of a spoof after that. Like I said, it's not the real deal, but it's a spoof after that. Doomsday Vault is complete. The government's listening to this guy. Should we? Prepare. Survive. Unmanned NASA contracted rocket explodes. Here's some different news stories on this. But yeah, this is another step towards the kill shot. Another event that they said was going to happen. Good pictures of it. I'll put all the links to these things below. But ooh, this is interesting. The Civilian Inmate Labor Program. This is Army unclassified document. Oh, the Ebola virus, all that stuff is the Gulf Blue Plague, all of that predicted by Major Dames and his group, and other remote viewers have seen it as well. Check this out. Weapons accessories, United States Capitol Police. Them are out of order. I'm sorry about that, guys. But it's interesting that they're popping up here. What was this? Portable intrusion detection. CCTV system. They want cameras everywhere, don't they? More on the Ebola stuff. Internment resettlement operations. There's a flyer that the mayor was going around handing out. City councilman was in Texas, notifying people about the severity of the contagions of Ebola, and how to handle it, what to do. Wow. Yeah, see, they're definitely getting ready. Look at that. Nuclear, biological, poison, chemical, cleaning up stuff. Civilian internees. That's just sad. Real sad. In a situation like this, they would impose martial law so fast. The government that's left would go into hiding, and it would be total anarchy. But they would come out eventually, and they would clean up the streets. And see, they were wrong here. There was no catastrophic meteor impact. Federal Reserve opportunities. Sorry about that. Confiscation squads. District of Columbia government. Look at that. Why do they call the District of Columbia a government? That's D.C., Washington, D.C. Isn't that peculiar? I've done a video on this. District of Columbia government opportunities. District of Columbia government opportunities. They have their own flag and everything. Here's some stuff that falls under the Department of Homeland Security. It's Obama's youth soldiers that's training. I'm telling you, the government is getting ready. They are definitely investing in surviving this thing. All these are solar powered as well as fuel powered. There's solar powered there. This is some weapons tech from Northrop Grumman. Surveillance equipment as well. Northrop Grumman does a lot of business with the government, armed forces, and they have some super awesome stuff. I've done a video on that as well. Go through and check it out if you'd like. But it's bizarre the kind of steps they're going to keep track of us. Because believe me, they fear us. And they should. And they shouldn't be taking and killing 100-something-year-old men with a SWAT team because he wants to stay in his own home and all he's got is a shotgun, double-barrel shotgun. Come on. That's what they do now, is kill and then ask questions later. They're militarized. Our peace officers are now militarized, and they ain't taking names. They've been told that homegrown terrorists are people who vote for Ron Paul, people, I'm sure, like myself, who put out these kind of videos. Cliven Bundy, a rancher. I mean, come on. That whole standoff thing, that almost started a civil war. We've been seeing this more and more. Huge military vehicles. Russian troops in Russia look like USA. It's because President Obama has invited thousands of Russian Spetsnaz troops. They're over here to help with FEMA, with disaster relief. But they're Spetsnaz soldiers. And Spetsnaz are bad to the bone. They know how to kill people and know how to cause all kinds of problems. They can bring a small country down within a matter of weeks. If they wanted to. Texas. I don't know why that's there. But yeah, they, depicted all this kind of stuff. These are resistant. No more resistant. Older woman with gun. That's sad. Pregnant woman with gun. See, they're not messing around no more. I believe this is one of the FEMA camps. One of the bigger ones, could be a prison. I'm not sure what it is. We're seeing more and more military vehicles that's being gobbled up by police departments all around the country. Homeland Security, this is the department components. of Homeland Security. There's one I want you to notice in particularly. There's TSA. United States Coast Guard, ICE, United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement, United States Citizens and Immigrations, Border Protection, United States Coast Guard, which is basically one of the 5 branches of military. I mean, they've got Coast Guard destroyers and stuff. There it is. United States Secret Service. Isn't that something? It falls under the Department of Homeland Security. The Secret Service does. Right along with FEMA, the Coast Guard, etc. Lots of different things do. But yeah, the Secret Service. That blew me away when I found that out. Remember this? Ex-CIA operative. Military thwarted Obama's plan to nuke EMP America this fall. That was last year. And you know, personally, I don't trust him. I don't believe that he loves our country and feels for it as most patriots, freedom-loving Americans do. That's my personal opinion on that. Now I sure hope he wouldn't nuke us or to do an EMP attack. That wouldn't kill anybody, but it would dang sure put us back in the Stone Age. And death would ensue because of it. Look, District of Columbia government. How about that? Interesting, huh? District of Columbia government. Why does it say District of Columbia government? That's because Washington, D.C. is the United States government. It's its own government. It is a corporation. The United States is a corporation. And the District of Columbia is our government. Our government is not the United States of America. Why else would they have this here? District of Columbia government opportunities. And this is on federalbizopportunities.gov. Solicitations to work for the District of Columbia government. Washington, D.C. government. Anyways, I hope you guys have got some insight from this information. Take it how you will. Do with it what you will. Help others when you can. Do what's right. It feels good to do what's right. You know, try to help others. There's a lot of people out there suffering and going through hard times right now. And remember that. Try to be patient with others. And guys, be good to one another. We can make it through this. We got to stick together, though. We can't let the mainstream media rip us apart and get us at each other's throats, because that's what they're trying to do. Let's not let them win. God bless, good luck to us all. Be careful out there. Keep your eyes and ears open and be smart. Never give up your guns. The Second Amendment protects the first and the last. Provides us means to obtain food. Could save your life and save your loved one's life and protect you and is a useful tool. Absolutely a useful tool. There's no easier, better way to obtain food through hunting than with a good firearm. So, don't give it up. And you also need it for protection because others are going to come try to take what you have prepared and what you have stored and gathered. It's like Scripture says, if you don't flee to the mountains, you're going to have to turn and fight your neighbor. Like I say, I think the Bible's batting average is way, way more accurate than any of these things. But that's a divine thing, and it's my personal opinion on that. But stay safe, guys. This is Chatty Dad 1, over and out.